Hello everyone, I just wanted to give you a quick tour of Flux, which is the new layout editor I'm working on. Now at the moment there are a couple of bugs with the Mac package, so we're going to start it from the command line like this. And when you start Flux, it asks you either to open a glyphs file or a FluxML project. We're going to start with a glyphs file, and we're going to use glyphs from Hind, which is a lovely open source Devanagari font from Indian Type Foundry. Now when you open Flux, you get the main window up here, and let's just take you through it. Over in this corner we have glyph classes, and you can see that it's loaded up some classes already from the glyphs file. We can add our own. When we do add class, that's just an ordinary class where you manually type in the letters that you want in the class. A computed class, this is a nice one. You can choose the glyphs in a class based on certain predicates. What the name begins and ends with, how big it is, and things like that, height and width and depth, and whether it's bases or marks or things like that. And you can combine those predicates together. Let's get rid of that. And look down here. This next pane is the lookups pane, and this is where you create your OpenType lookups and rules. And then once you've created those, you can drag them down here onto the features pane to make them work in your font. Over here on this side of the app is when you're not editing any rules, this is the shaping debugger. So we can type in some letters in here. And even though there's no rules in this font at the moment, you get told what the shaper does as it goes through, firstly mapping the characters to glyphs, organizing them into syllables, and then reordering. You can see that it reorders the matra there. But let's add a few more rules to make this work. The first one we're going to add is the Nukta feature. And this is just a set of simple ligature substitutions. So when we right click on our new lookup, we can add a positioning rule, a substitution rule, an attachment rule, and a chaining rule. As this is a ligature, we'll choose a substitution rule, and it makes us an empty substitution rule here. Double click on that, and this is the rule editor. And the rule editor basically all has the same format. You have the set of input glyphs. So our input glyphs will type in dv car, add a new input glyph to the right, car followed by Nukta, and then at the bottom you get the replacement. So that will be this glyph here. And you can see that this is what happens before, and this is what happens after it's replaced it with a glyph with the Nukta mark built in. Okay, we'll just do one more of those. Add a new substitution rule. Next one, dv, and you can see it's filling in the glyph names for us here. Car followed by Nukta, and that becomes that one there. Okay, two rules, but currently they're not doing anything, as you can see, because they're in a lookup but they haven't been put into a feature yet. So these belong in the Nukt feature. We'll start a new feature, and then you just drag the lookup and make it part of that feature, and you can see immediately that this has then applied the rule over there. So that deals with the Nukta glyph. What about the matra here? Well, one of the nice things about Flux is that it allows you to write plugins in Python which can create rules for you. So the matra one is where it often takes a lot of rules. So we open this plugin and it says, which are your consonants? Well, we've got a class of consonants here, which is the bases. Oops. The base matra glyph is dvmi, and then our list of variants are in the alt thing. We click on OK, and it's created as a new lookup with all of these substitution rules. We put this into the presentation feature. Boom. You can see the matra is extended over here. So those are basically just substitution rules. Let's try a different kind of rule. For the above marks, we're going to do some mark-to-mark attachments. So we will call this ref attachment. And this is going to be an attachment rule. The attachment editor is a little bit different. You choose your anchor on the base glyph, which will be the ref one, and following the glyph's format, the underscore is the marker on the mark, and it shows you here the mark, the base, and what it looks like when they're attached together. So that's rule, and we can drag that into a ref feature if we like. I'll just show you just as an example. Well, let's do context. So let's have a new routine for arcans, and I'll show you a substitution rule that's got some pre-context. So let's add a substitution rule here. When we've got a zero width joiner, which is preceded by dv ra and parama, that gets turned into the /ra glyph like that. So you can see how we've added a pre-context. If you click over here, you can add a post-context. Don't actually want a post-context, so I'll get rid of it. So that's creating a rule with pre-context and marked glyph. Just for a bit of fun, I will show you the position rule editor. Where we can move things around. So instead of doing our nuctas with a separate glyph, we could do our nucta like this. And we can move it up a bit. No. And move it around like that. Okay, so that's how you create a positioning rule. Once you've created all your lookups, arrange them into features, you can then export the font layout rules as a feature file. You can't yet export the OTF, but we'll do that soon. And you can save your project so you can work on it later. I hope that's given you a clue about how to use it. This is still very much in the early stages of development, and I would welcome any feedback you have. If you go to the Flux website, which is github.com/SimonCousins/Flux, you can download the latest version and let me know how you get on. Thanks a lot.